Before we begin, I'd like to thank our volunteers for today. Meet Tim and the angel and devil on his shoulders, Jimmy and Steve, respectively. So, Jimmy and Steve both have their own ideas for how Tim should be acting when he's out and about in the world. And today, we're going to be putting their work under the magnifying glass and see how they affect Tim's morality, his emotions, and also how Tim's morality and emotions interact with and affect each other. So, starting with a neuroscientific look on the matter, in a study done in 2002 by Jorge Moll and his colleagues, a group of participants were asked to attentively view a bunch of pictures while being scanned with an fMRI machine. These pictures included moral, unpleasant pictures, so like images of war and like of physical assaults, and also like non-moral unpleasant pictures, so like dangerous animals, bodily lesions, among other pictures. The researchers found, so one of their interesting results was that between the non-moral and moral conditions of the unpleasant pictures, some brain areas, such as the orbitofrontal cortex, the medial frontal gyrus, and also the superior temporal sulcus, or the STS, preferentially were excited by the moral stimuli. So what does this have to do with emotions? When it comes to the orbitofrontal cortex specifically, patients with damage to this area may retain the ability to make correct moral judgments in laboratory settings. But in the real world, where they're actually making decisions, they can make very immoral decisions. Moll and his colleagues suggest that this result may be due to the fact that people with this condition are unable to quickly and correctly process moral emotions in response to moral transgressions. This is also in line with previous research that suggests that moral behavior varies more with emotions than with judgments, meaning that we tend to go with our gut than with our head when we're actually trying to act. Another critical brain area relating to morality is the VMPFC, or the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. This area is very similar to the orbitofrontal cortex. People with damage to this area may retain the ability to make correct, explicit moral judgments. So they may do well on things like Kohlberg's moral reasoning test. However, they're very poor decision makers in real life. And also, they show less emotions as measured by the skin conductance response test in response to moral and emotional stimuli. So they respond less to things like pictures of like war and like bodies and stuff. Some researchers believe that this reduced emotional response is a factor in their poor decision making. Looking at this question from another perspective, we can ask, can changing emotions change moral judgments? As it turns out, the answer is yes. So in a study done in 2005, researchers made the participants induce a disgust response to a very arbitrary word, either the word often or the word take. So they have no intrinsic moral value by themselves. After that, they made the participants read a bunch of short stories with either the word often or the word take in them. There were two versions of each story, one with often, one with take. They were otherwise identical. The results? Well, the participants who read the stories that contained the disgust-inducing word judged the moral transgression that was described in the short story as more morally wrong than the participant who read the same story except with the other word that did not have a disgust response. This suggests that a disgust emotion by itself can make your moral judgment more severe. So why does this matter? Geez, calm down, man. I'll tell you. So one reason that this is important is by knowing how emotions affect our moral judgments, we can avoid the pitfalls that come with this. So for example, I may find something morally wrong just because I find the situation unpleasant. And by knowing that this is how it works, I can make better decisions in terms of like moral judgment. Another reason that this could be very important is by knowing the mechanisms behind the formation and application of moral judgments better, we can find better rehabilitation methods for people who stray from the moral path, and we can help them better in being productive and good members of society. Thank you so much.